There's a lot of older people who are very selfish as well. They don't want to get involved with their grandchildren. They want to be on some fucking saga cruise, being taking Viagra and indulging in gangbangs at the age of 90. You can all go and stick it, and you can all go and kiss my rich, happy black arse. What do you mean it's a slippery slope? The only thing slippery is what he's covering those photos in. Hello and welcome to the greatest show on earth. It is Francis Foster Sorts Your Life Out, where I sort your life out. Now, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychotherapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physiotherapist, right? So that doesn't really make sense, but it doesn't matter. So that means that you know that I know what I'm talking about. Send me in your problems, send me in your dilemmas. I will sort them out for you, and I will make sure that your life is better, because that's what I do, mate. I make people's lives better. You come and see me, I fix you, you go away, you fuck it up again, and then you come back a few months' time. That's what it means to be human. That's a human condition. And before I do that, I say every week that we're not going to talk about politics, yet practically every week, unless I get a big-name comedian in to come in and sort your problems out. Check out our previous episode with Leo Kurz. If you haven't seen it, what's the matter with you? So we are going to be sorting out the problems. I have just gone a little bit round the houses, but no, we're back. I always promise I'm not going to talk about politics, and I always do. There's another assassination attempt. Another assassination attempt. And once again, the FBI or whoever it is, the Secret Service, what are they doing? They look like they're run by the council. It's absolutely appalling. It's like they're doing it on purpose. Now, obviously, YouTube, I know they're not doing it on purpose. What we're talking about is big, large-scale governmental organisations riddled with bureaucracy, struggling to keep up with the changing times and incompetently run. We know all of that. All I'm saying is the optics don't look good. And if you are, so I say, a conspiracy theorist, or maybe tend towards that particular realm, it is very easy to start making an argument and saying that, are they really doing everything they possibly can to stop Trump, well, basically getting killed? And at this point, you're going, mate, you're fucking useless. What are you doing? This is terrible. And then you look at the guy. Look, I don't know a lot about American culture, okay? But why is it shooters? They're useless. They're useless, and I'm glad they're useless. I just want to make that point. I'm not here advocating for better shooters. That would be a very different show, do you know? And it would mean that we would get banned by YouTube. So I'm glad the shooters are useless. My point is, it's something else. It's like, they are useless. We had the guy who tried to shoot Trump before. He basically looked like he was going through a transition, stopped halfway through and thought, oh, this is a bit of an effort. I'll just kind of end up like this kind of genderless, not even a blob, just this genderless, formless thing. You know what he looked like? He looked like one of those hollowed husks, like almost like zombie-like husks you used to see on Indiana Jones in movies like that, where they're completely sallow and they're completely dried up. You always found them in the little caves where Indiana Jones was trying to get through, and then he would be confronted by this kind of hollowed husk of a man who'd been there for centuries. That's what that guy looked like. Then this guy, 58 years old, and like pro-Ukraine, I mean, that's weird enough as it is. And then Trump, blue hair, of course he does. Then he tried to kill Trump. You're 58 years old. Being a psychopath nutter school shooter, that's a young man's game. Not 58. What are you doing, mate? You've got reduced testosterone. Of course you do. You've got blue hair. Why are you going out and trying to do what a young man would do with vigour and energy? Of course you got stopped. You're rubbish. This is the point. The point is that everything has gone down in quality in the West. Everything. From the quality of our leaders, to the quality of administrators, to the quality of Secret Service people, to the quality of shooters. Everything's crap. Nobody is good anymore. Nobody takes their job seriously. No, you don't look at these people. I look at these shooters and I'm thinking, mate, I could stand 20 metres in front of you and you still wouldn't be able to hit me. In fact, you're so pathetic looking, I'm surprised you can even hold up a gun. It's ridiculous. The West is in crisis. We have a competency crisis across the board, including our psychopaths. Like the long-haired, genderless gimp. I mean, you look at him and go, well, of course you missed. Look at you. I bet you wouldn't even be able to maintain an erection to fuck a woman. Of course you wouldn't. Look at you. Imagine that actually, if you actually ejaculated, you'd die of dehydration. You are the worst. The worst. 58-year-olds with blue hair. I mean, I don't even know what's going to come next. I can think what's going to come next, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we're going to get some kind of deranged dwarf with autism to come along and try next. Maybe that's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe we're going to get somebody come in who's riddled out of his brain with ADHD. So his head going, well, where's Trump? Where's Trump? There's Trump. Oh, God, I've lost Trump. What was I here to do? What was I here to do again? Oh, I remember I was supposed to start. What was I meant to be doing? What was I meant to be thinking? Oh, yeah, Trump. Oh, he's gone in. Fuck's sake. It's appalling. You all need to up your game, particularly the Secret Service. What are you doing? I thought you were meant to be the best of the best. That's what I thought. I watch Hollywood films. People like Jack Ryan, played by Harrison Ford. Yes, I realise he's an actor. Shut up. Stop saying, I don't know the difference. Of course I know the difference. What I'm saying is the propaganda infiltrated my brain until I believed it. I believed in your propaganda. I believed in the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service, the good-looking, suave, handsome Secret Service guy who maybe drunk a bit too much and, wasn't that good with his wife, broke down, didn't see his kids, but he was great at his job and he was a top-level shagger. And I think that's part of it, actually, is that you look at the people trying to assassinate Trump, you couldn't imagine shagging anything. They couldn't even shag themselves. That's a problem. The problem is, and I firmly believe this, we've demonised the shagger. We've demonised the shagger. Because before, back in the day, right, there were people, like they weren't rapists, they weren't pedos, they were shaggers. They were shaggers, I'm thinking Mick Jagger, I'm thinking rock stars, I'm thinking actors, I'm thinking footballers. They were shaggers. You looked at him and you went, that's a real man. Goes out, gets drunk, exceptional at what he does, smokes cigarettes, even though he's an athlete. Still better than everyone else, and a magnificent shagger. And you know what we've done? Because everything has to be nice and safe and woke now. We've got rid of the shagger, and that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy, because that's what every man in the history of male existence. Now, you get the other ones, like the creeps and all them. They should be eliminated. I agree with you. We don't want them. But every man dreamt of being a shagger. That's what we all aspired to be. That's why we wanted to be footballers and rock stars, or writers or poets, or all of that. Because we dreamt of being shaggers. Lord Byron, one of the most brilliant poets of the English language, was a top-level shagger. Apparently, his feet were so deformed that when he shagged, he kept his boots on. That's what we dreamt of being. That's what we dreamt of being. And that's the thing with Trump. That's the main reason why they hate him, because he's a top-level shagger. And you're not allowed to be that anymore, because you have to be nice, you have to be respectful, you have to be kind. And you have to take into account what everybody says and listen to them, even if they're talking bollocks. And we've eliminated the shagger. That's a tragedy. That is an unmitigated tragedy, because we haven't eliminated the masculine from society. Because as a shagger, the reason that you put all this energy into your career, your art, your music, your poetry, your sport, is so you could be elevated to the level of shagger. Rod Stewart, shagger. And we all looked at him. He's not a creep. He's not a sleaze. No, he's a legend. And all the women who have been with him know that and celebrated it. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And we've eliminated it, which is why we now have these legion of cucks coming along. I'm offended, I'm sad, I'm hurt, and you've said nasty things. This is what we're left with. This is what we're left with. And you know whose fault it is? Women. This is what you wanted. You got rid of the shagger, you eliminated him, you've made him an endangered species, and now look what we've got. Look what we've got. Low testosterone, low testosterone, genderless gimps who come along and are useless at everything. They're useless at everything. They can't do comedy. I've seen them do comedy. They're all shit. They can't do comedy. They can't act. They can't write. They can't even be a shooter. I mean, how difficult is that? You can't even do that properly. You're useless. And this is what is taking apart society. And you know, Kamala doesn't agree with it, because look at her. That is a woman who has who has been on the receiving end of a few shaggers in her time. And I've seen those dresses, and she loves it. You can't tell me she doesn't. And by the way, there's going to be people here going, hey, I can't believe you said this. You're slut shaming. You're slut shaming. First of all, you're the one using slut, not me. Let's just say that. First of all, I don't use that term. I'm a man of respect, despite what the internet says. No, what I'm saying is that Kamala is a woman who looks like she enjoys being Rambo'd every now and again in a particularly lusty way. And the reason for that is she enjoys a shagger. So even she does. Even she does. You know that Kamala goes like the clappers. I may have my... Look, I have my reservations about the woman. I don't like her politics. I don't like her idea that we should stay woke or be woke or all of this thing. I will say this, though, and to our new producer, Jack, I will say this. As a young man, Kamala Harris could teach you a few things about what it means to be a man. I'm telling you, if you went in and had a session with Kamala, you'd come out a new man. You would. You'd come out a new man. There'd be a confidence and an energy about you. You'd be a confidence and an energy. You would know that you were on the receiving end of a woman. Not a girl, a woman.
Would I come out a better man?
You would come out a better, more vibrant. You'd come out. You would have the physical structure, the musculature of a decathlete. You would be toned, physically ripped, peak performance, with the confidence of Donald Trump and the beard of an Old Testament prophet, because your testosterone levels would be through the roof. And that's it. That's it. That is the problem with society now. You get rid of the shagger and you end up where we are. Genderless, blue-haired gimps moaning and whining. And do you know what, ladies? It is your fault, because you've eliminated the shagger and look what you got left with. Look what you've got now. This is what you've got. And you're all there on Hinge and TikTok or whatever the fuck you use. And you're all there going, I can't find a good man. I can't. Yes, because you've cancelled the ones that are great. We've eliminated them and we need to bring them back. Once we bring back the shagger, trust me, the world will be a better place. Look at one of the few places standing up against woke. France. France is a country of the shagger. They embrace it and they celebrate it. And that's it. So you've got to pick what you want. What do you want? Do you want this where we are now? Or do you want a man? What do you want? You can't have one or the other. You've got to pick one. So make your choice wisely. And as a great Thomas Sowell said, every decision has trade-offs. But look what you've done with your trade-offs right now. Is this what you wanted? I don't think it is. What, a man who sees a cockroach in your kitchen and goes, I can't touch it. Is this what you want? Someone who can't get rid of a spider or shoot a gun? No, this is not what you wanted. Society is so bad that even I am now high testosterone compared to most people in society. And that's when you know, when this face, look, I'm at 42 years old. Let me tell you what it's like to be a 42-year-old man. Being a 42-year-old man means I work out 3 to 4 times a week. I eat a high-protein diet. I have to sleep properly. I also take supplements. And you know why I do that? Because past the age of 40, every man slowly transitions into a lesbian. That's what happens. Your testosterone goes through the floor and you transition into a lesbian. Look at Paul McCartney. Looks like an old lesbian. And that is a problem. Look at Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer, different light, lesbian. And that is the fate of most men. That's why you need to take tea. I've decided, mate, I'm going to take tea. I'm going to take tea with the testosterone. I'm just going to get fucking jacked. And then, and then the world is my oyster. Because I'm going to be competing against these 20-year-old gimps who can't get through life without suffering who can't go through a day without bursting into tears that they've had a microaggression. I'm from South London. There's no such thing as a microaggression. That was called affection in my day. Microaggression. What's a microaggression? If something's micro, it's not worth talking about. A woman doesn't go, oh, do you know what? I had the shag of my life from a man with a micro penis. That's not a thing, is it? It's not a thing. It's ridiculous. No. We need to bring back the male. We need to bring back the masculine. And bear in mind, this is coming from a man who can't ride a bike and is still learning how to drive. And even I see it. Even I see it. That's how pathetic it is. I can't grow a beard. I used to be a primary school teacher. I did a drama degree. And even I can see this. So what is it like for everyone else? Ladies, you got to have a think. You've gone this whole way. You've cancelled the man. Okay, now look what we've got. I'm just saying, it's not good. It's not a good look. You know what I mean? And talking about what's not a good look, Hugh Edwards. I mean, that's not a good look. For our American viewers and listeners, Hugh Edwards is, at one time, the most, how can I put this? The most, prestigious is a wrong word, but you kind of go, well, I'll go high status. The most high status BBC news presenter. When there was a piece of important news that had to be broken to the nation, Hugh was a man to do it. When the Queen died, may she rest in peace, Hugh was there to break it to the nation. He gave us the news about the Queen's funeral. He was presenting on that. And he did a wonderful job. Hugh Edwards was an icon. But you know what happened? Right? He got the BBC disease, didn't he? He got the BBC disease. Because what happens is you go into the BBC and you're normal. You're just a normal, well-adjusted human being. And you've got like Hugh, he's got a wife and 4 kids. Great job, nailing it. And then before you know it, just being in those corridors, it turns you into a nonce. And before you know it, he was there downloading kiddie porn, talking with other pedos, getting them to send him porn, all of this stuff, all of it. And it's because of it's Hugh's fault. But I think there's something that goes on in the BBC, right? You go in normal, you come out a pedo. I'm just saying, look at the evidence. Look at it. There's loads of them. And I keep talking about it week on week because nobody else is addressing the big, important issues. You see? And if we had shaggers, they'd go and they'd beat up the nonces. That's how it worked. That is how it worked. That's how the system worked. That's how society worked. But now, no, we can't do that because we have to understand why he did it. So anyway, because we live in the brave new world of Keir Starmer's government, Hugh Edwards went to get convicted. This was recorded on the Monday. So he went and he got put on a sex offenders register. But he didn't go to jail. Because jails are full. And, and also, like, it's just a bit of nonsense, innit? Just a bit of nonsense. What's wrong with it, mate? Chill out. Come on. Who hasn't done a bit? You know what I mean? You've done it. He's done it. She's done it. We've all done it, haven't we? Because we work at the BBC and it's all cushy. No, it's not. Our society is losing its mind. In prison, we've been letting out people like sex offenders and rapists so we can get people coming on who posted things on Facebook during the riots. Are you mental? Are you absolutely mental? But this is what our society has degenerated into, where things you write on social media are somehow worse than crimes you commit against actual kids. And I know this is meant to be a comedy podcast, and we've gone down a dark turn, but you know what? There's no one else here to bail me out. It's a solo pod, so I'm going to keep going. But that's where we are as a society, and it's gross. It's gross. You think to yourself, I genuinely don't know how Keir Starmer at this point would thought that was a good idea. I just don't. Yeah, let's go and let the rapists and the perverts run loose. But you know what? People who say things on social media, come on, let's stick them in. Let's stick them in prison. Really? Is that where we are? I mean, we're asking, is that where we are? Yeah, we are. And then we had that one lady who, she was quite fit actually. I quite fancied her. Anyway, pro-Palestine protest, of course she was. Love the darker lady, a lady of colour, a dusky maiden as I call them. Massive fan. And and so she had a placard which said, which labelled Rishi Sunak and I think it was Suella Braverman as coconuts, and then she got arrested and put on trial. Now, do I think it's racist to call an Asian person a coconut, a brown person a coconut? Yes, I do. And the reason is because what you're saying is that all people of, I hate that term, all people of colour, brown people, Asian people, whatever you want to fucking call them, right? They should all behave and think in the exact same way. That's racist because you're not treating them like an individual. You're treating them like a monolith. Like you're saying, you're dehumanizing them because you are not giving them the power of agency, which means you are lessening them. And therefore, that is a racist way of looking at them. Okay? You may disagree. Fuck off my podcast. Anyway. But then she went to trial. And then thankfully she got acquitted. Right? Because even though I think it's racist, you should be allowed to say racist things. You should be allowed to say things that are stupid or ridiculous or bigoted or ignorant. That's the reason you tune in, to hear all of these things from me. But if we don't live in a society where you're allowed to say those things, where you're allowed to be racist, I'm not saying it's accepted. I'm not saying that you can't be criticised. I'm saying that if you are prosecuted by the government because you say things that are deemed to be offensive or racist or bigoted, then we don't live in a Western liberal democracy. What we live in is an authoritarian police state where the government is policing speech. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really want to live in that society. I don't want to live in the UK. I don't want to live in Scotland, where the Scottish government have, under the Hate Speech Act, which they brought in, appropriately enough, because they're retarded. You see, I use the word retarded. Some of you you will all love it. On the 1st of April, appropriately, like I said, 2024, which criminalised speech on stage, which means that you can get arrested, arrested, taken to court and put in jail for jokes that you make or comments that you make on stage if a reasonable person finds them offensive. That's where we are. That's where we are as a society. And now you have people getting arrested, and even though they were innocent, God bless her because she's quite fit, I bet she's got a lovely set of coconuts. Way! That's where we are. That's where we are as a society. And I don't think enough people are talking about this. I don't think enough people are actually aware of the slide that we are actually descending, that we're sliding into a soft authoritarianism. I don't think people are aware of that. And if they are, and this is the most worrying bit, is the people who support it. The people who believe this is correct. This is the correct way to exist and be. And the thing that I found very interesting from the left and from The Guardian is that they decry the fact that this woman got arrested and put on trial, and I agree with them, that is wrong. But it's like, but you were fine with it happening to people that you disagreed with and you thought you disagreed with and you thought were beyond the pale, morally, not criminally, morally. So you were happy with that. Yet when someone from your team, a pro-Palestine protester, gets arrested. All of a sudden, because she's a woman of colour, love them, that's wrong. And this is a problem, is that people are only prepared and wanting to defend these principles if it affects their side. And that goes both right and left. So where we are, to put it bluntly, is we're in a pretty bad place. And I don't know what we do about that, to be honest. I don't know where we go from here. I think we need more people of principle to step up and start talking. We need more people to actually say what they think and feel. We need more people to be courageous. You know what that means? We need more men. We need more shaggers. We need more top-level shaggers. Because say what you like about them, they stood up for what they believed and what they thought, and to hell with the consequences. Because you know what? They were half pissed most of the time, and they knew at the end of the day, whatever happened, they would get laid. And a perfect example of a top-level shagger is Richard Pryor, and I'm going to tell you this story. So Richard Pryor was doing... When Richard Pryor first started comedy, he was very successful, unlike a lot of comedians. Shut your face, I'm a success. And he was widely known as a Bill Cosby tribute act. If you couldn't book Bill Cosby, you booked Richard Pryor. That's what it was. Very safe, very inoffensive, very family-friendly comedy, and he made a lot of money, and he was very successful. And he was also very funny because he was always a superlative comedian. Then he had a come to Jesus moment where he effectively had a breakdown. He couldn't do his old act anymore. He was utterly disgusted by it. And he wanted to talk about things that were more honest to him, that were more real, so things that he believed in. And he went out and had a breakdown in Las Vegas in this huge star-studded theater, in this huge star-studded show where he was meant to do a turn. Bit of old language there. And there were all these huge stars there. There was like Dean Martin, and I think Sinatra was there, and all these Hollywood stars from the 1950s. And he had a meltdown on stage. And he threw away his old act, and he started talking honestly and being a bit controversial, and the crowd booed him. And you know what he said? First of all, he said, you can all go and stick it, and you can all go and kiss my rich, happy, black arse. Fair. But in his book, he went, you know, people were saying to me, my agent called me and went, you never work in this town again. And I went, you know what? If he told me I'd never get pussy again, that's when I'd start worrying. We need more of that energy, ladies and gentlemen. We need to be more like Richard. We need more top-level shaggers. And on that note, Jack, we go over to your questions that you submit to me in order so that I can help you.
Okay, we're starting nice and light here.
Mm-hmm.
Dear Francis, I've been married to my alcoholic husband for 14 years.
Jesus Christ, all right.
We have a 13-year-old son and 2 older kids from my previous marriage. I had an affair with a black man from 2007 until 2009. Nice details there. That I kept a secret from my husband until he found out from my diary in 2010. Since then, he has started drinking 3 or 4 bottles of wine a night and blames his drinking on me. He has been hospitalized and in rehab many times because of this. Our son is suffering because when my husband drinks, he gets aggressive and my son has to stand between us to stop him hitting me. I have seriously thought about leaving without a trace. Maybe my son will be happier without a mother who is so pathetic. What do I do?
See, normally, Jack, what you do is you start soft and then we go hard. But you've come in like a shagger and you've gone in hard immediately. Actually, no, a shagger would have been more tender. So, okay, so we're talking about a woman who cheated on her husband and he became an alcoholic. Well, look, let's be very honest about this. Firstly, the reason somebody cheats in a marriage, it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It's because they're deeply dissatisfied, either with themselves or their relationships, or most likely both. There's always a combination of those 3 things, right? So what they did is they cheated. I don't understand why, it was a black guy, that makes it more or less relevant. But, you know, maybe, you know, like the darker gentleman, fair enough. You're allowed to like what you like. And then her husband, as a result of this, descended into resentment and alcoholism and now becomes violent. when your partner becomes violent with you, there really is only one option as far as I'm concerned, and that is to leave the house, and it's to leave the house with your child. What you are trapped in, it seems to me, is an entirely dysfunctional, abusive relationship. Now, obviously, things were gone on before from your point of view, which you have done, which were suboptimal, to put it mildly. But he can't blame his addiction and his addiction to alcohol on you. Addiction is a personal thing. It is because people have compulsive behaviors that means that they want to disassociate with other people and their environment. That is what is going on with him. Now, what has happened to him in either his childhood or genetic predisposition, he probably or may have. That's for him to sort out. He can't keep blaming other people. You need to take responsibility for your actions. He can stop drinking. If he stopped drinking and eliminated the alcohol, that would be a major step to you being able to sort out this situation. But he doesn't want to do that because he keeps drinking. And the problem is with people who drink is they become volatile. And volatility is incredibly dangerous, number one, in any particular situation, but number two, with men who are more prone to physical violence than women, and also as when if a man becomes more physically violent, then he is far more likely to cause more damage to women. So I would say to you that this is a very, very difficult situation, and you have my empathy. I know what it's like to be around addiction and alcohol. It's a terrible thing to endure. And it affects you, and it will affect the way that you move through the world. But you also have to think about the most important person in this situation. And it isn't your husband, and it isn't you, it's your 13-year-old son. At the moment, he is being put in a situation which he is suffering, which is damaging him psychologically every single day. It is causing trauma. It is going to produce real problems for him at this moment and also later on with life. If you think about your son, you will want him, I assume, one day to get married, to meet a nice woman, have happy relationships, get married. What is he being taught about? What is he being taught about relationships from both you and your husband? I mean, if you ask him, if you think, would he ever want to get married, he'd probably say no, not in a million years. And that is a right conclusion to come to if all you've seen in marriage is screaming and shouting, violence and drinking. So I would say you can't, and I understand why. It's not an easy situation to be in. And I understand why you feel self-pity, and I understand why you were down on yourself. These are all very understandable emotions at the time. But you have more important things to deal with. And the most important thing to deal with at the moment is your son's safety and your safety. You cannot be in that environment anymore. That man is an alcoholic. He is dangerous. He is volatile. He's abusive physically, which means he will also be abusive mentally. You need to leave, and you need to leave as soon as possible. And you are probably thinking, how can I do that? There are people out there, friends, family, there are refuges where you can go to where you will be safe. Because at the moment, scrap everything else. It's about your own personal and physical safety. And you are not safe in that environment, and neither is your son. And what he is learning and the trauma he's being exposed to will haunt him for the rest of his life. You need to do the right thing and make that next step. And you also need to, if he lays his fingers on you, lays his hands on you, you need to tell the police. Because this could escalate and things could get very nasty very quickly. And when people are volatile, they do things that they end up bitterly regretting, especially when it's accompanied by alcohol. Violent temper, resentment, anger, and alcohol are a horrendously toxic combination that has resulted in many, many women losing their life. So I would say you need to be brave, not only for you, but for your son. You need to tell you need to remove yourself from that environment. You need to start talking. You need to start telling friends. You need to start telling families what's going on. And you need to start making an exit plan ASAP. Because otherwise, you are going to continue to exist in an environment where many dreadful things have happened, but something utterly horrific could happen. And you need to get out of there as soon as possible. And if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your son. I know it's terrifying, but you need to be brave. Good luck.
Dear Francis, my grandmother is very religious and keeps trying to convert our 2-month-old son.
Yep.
Talking about God to him and giving only Christian-themed gifts. My spouse and I aren't religious and agreed to raise our child without those beliefs. While we don't mind some exposure, her constant proselytizing isn't okay. How do we get her to stop, especially with Christmas coming up?
Okay, so it's a grandmother, yeah?
Yep.
All right, here's a tricky one. So you're in a bit of a dilemma here because whilst I understand your dilemma in the way that you want to raise your son, he is 2 months old. He doesn't have a clue what the old bird is banging on about. He doesn't know and he doesn't care. He's got no idea of what is going on around him. And so in that sense, I would say let her. Let her do all of her stuff. Now, if he was 7, 8, 9 years old, then you can have a conversation. But for 2 months old, just let her talk. Occasionally put her to one side and go, look, we don't want them raised that way, blah, 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 blah. But for 2 months old, that is a conversation for later on down the line. You know, and Christmas as well. You're going to teach him about Santa Claus. I mean, last time I checked, Santa Claus was made up. I would just be very careful about what you don't want to do is you don't want to isolate this woman or feel like her input isn't needed or wanted. I would have a conversation with her and go, look, just be open and honest. Have an open and honest conversation. Go, look, here's the reality. The reality is we don't want this to be going on. We don't want our son being exposed to this. We don't feel this is appropriate or right. But also tempered with the knowledge that he's 2 months old. He don't have a clue. All he knows, right? He can barely focus. All he does is just sit there, laugh and shit himself. Which, you know, will probably be with all our fates. So I would say to you, don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. He doesn't understand anything yet. It just antagonises you because you were raised by a mother who was very Christian conservative and it pissed you off. Fair enough. There are lots of things about that particular upbringing, if you were raised like that, that wouldn't annoy and antagonise you and cause problems and create and breed resentment. I get all of that. But I think this is a little bit about you with your mum. Because actually, he's 2 months old, mate. Doesn't have a clue. Doesn't have a clue. You could go up to him and go, bum, 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 bum. And he would laugh. And you would go up to me and go, Jesus is the Lord and Spirit and Saviour of the universe. And he'd laugh. It sounds the same to him. It doesn't matter. Until they're about 6 or 7, it doesn't matter. Just let him be a kid. Let him spend time with Granny. You're going to teach him about Santa Claus. I know there's going to be Christians now getting upset about this, but let's look at it from an academic perspective, right? That's another story. She's telling her story, you're going to tell another one. And then when he's 10 and 11, he'll probably decide that both of them are a load of bollocks and they're not true. Fine. That's how it works. You got a limited amount of time with your mum. You're very lucky that she's in your life and she can help you. There's a lot of people who don't have that. There's a lot of older people who are very selfish as well. They don't want to get involved with their grandchildren. They want to be on some fucking saga cruise, being taken Viagra and indulging in gangbangs at the age of 90. That's what some people want. Dirty. If that is you, you should be ashamed of yourself. I might be that. No, I probably won't be. So, unless I'll get on the tea. Yeah, I'll get on the tee. Yeah, then I'll sort a few people out. So I think you have to be tolerant of your mum. You've got to install the boundaries, but also be aware that he doesn't have a clue. 2 months old? Come on. That's more about you getting pissed off with your mum about stuff that you went through than with your little boy. He's clueless. If you asked him where his nose was, he wouldn't even know.
I've been dating a great man for about a year. Everything has been ideal, except he refuses to get rid of a box of nude photos of his exes, even though he knows it makes me uncomfortable. He thinks it's a slippery slope to remove them, but I feel like these photos mean more to him than I do. Am I being insecure, or is this unacceptable?
So let me get this straight, right? So he's got nude. So right. So this is a woman. Is it? Is it a woman, or does it not specify?
Doesn't specify, but actually, wait. Yeah, no, it does. He thinks it's a slippery slope. Yeah, it's a woman.
Okay. Okay. So it's a woman. Like, to me, that is a major red flag. Why, he's got nude photos of his ex. Why are you hanging on to them? Why is he hanging on to them? Why is it so important for him to? That's why you have a wank bank, mate. This is a problem with kids nowadays, right? Your iPhone has robbed you of your imagination. So you don't have an imagination because everything's there, everything's on the screen, everything's tap, 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 tap. That's the problem. You don't have an imagination. It's robbed you. You can't possibly conceive of other worlds or other universes. So he's got to hold on to his old ex's photos. Look, I think personally that is a major red flag, and you need to put down a line. What do you mean it's a slippery slope? What does that even mean? The only thing slippery is what he's covering those photos in. That's the problem, is he's there and having a cheeky jack-off over his ex. Like, rubbing one out. The dirty little bastard. Watch porn like a real man. Vile. No, you can't have that. You can't have that. That is, you got to get rid of that. You've got, as far as I'm concerned, that is a major, major red flag. It shows, number one, that he's not over her. It's weird, it's creepy. It's weird and creepy, let's be fair. And what she said, it's a slippery slope. Why? What was his argument?
He didn't give an argument.
He said, if I get rid of them, it's a slippery slope.
Yep.
That's it. Why is it slippery? What, all of a sudden, what? And then before you know it, look, this is a question, right? I presume you're a woman, and I presume you're like your 20s or whatever else. And you're looking at this guy and thinking, this could be the father of my kids. Do you want the father of your kids to wank over photos of his ex? Do you want your little daughter going, where's daddy? Oh, he's just jacking one off over Karen upstairs. Don't worry, he'll be 5 minutes. He'll be down, darling. Then he'll be able to take you to the park. Is that what you want? When you're at the altar looking into each other's eyes, you're looking at him thinking, he's just had a wank over her 6 minutes ago. No. It's disgusting. It's dirty. It's shameful. Oh, look, there's something deeply wrong with him. And to me, this is weird. I don't want to sound judgmental or... Look, I get, like, it's not my thing. Right? It's not my thing. I don't really understand why people take naked photos of their ex. I don't. Like, I'm too old. Right. So I'm trying to be empathetic. That's what I'm trying to do here. I understand why you would take photos of a partner in an intimate position and you would derive some kind of sexual gratification, not some kind of sexual gratification for that. I get it. I understand. I think it's a high risk strategy because inevitably you're going to break up and then he's going to have your pictures of your minge. But, each to their own. The problem is, and this is a real problem, is that this is the ex. And what it means is that he does not want to let go of his ex. And that's a significant problem. And the fact that you've called him out on it and he still refuses to do it indicates there is a massive issue there. I think with moving on, with commitment, how are you going to build a life with this guy? If he's there, rubbing one out to Tina. You can't do that. Well, and what happens when your kids find your dad's little porn stash? And they're like, who was that? And they're like, oh, that's Karen. What'd she do now? Oh, she's a receptionist at David Lloyd. Oh, I know her. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't look as... She looked much better back then, didn't she? Do you want to have that conversation? David Lloyd is a gym for the Americans. Is that a conversation you want to have with people? Is that what you want? You want to have... No. No, you've got to nip this. You've got to confront it and you've got to deal with it. That is a major red flag and you've got to say something. You can't have that. No. All right. No. So, whatever your name is, you need to confront him and you need to offer an ultimatum. Either he gets rid of the wank bank, the photos, and he starts using his imagination, and you need to ask him why he's doing that, or it's done. And I know it's hard, but you can't have that. You just can't. Because it's going to eat you up inside. It's going to cause resentment. You can't look at him. How can you look at him and say, I do, when you know what those eyes, the little beady, ferrety little eyes have been feasting on? No. Absolutely not. Wrong. Evil. No. You got to do the tough thing, confront him.
Before we wrap up, I found a good article from The Guardian, surprisingly, titled The Shaggers Hall of Fame.
Okay, brilliant.
Under the sports section, so they're all sport themed, but do you want to try and guess some of these?
Yep, go on.
One was one that came to mind when you were speaking at the start, obviously, Big Georgie Best.
Yep, Georgie.
Okay, go on, try and guess the others.
Is it just sport or is it all of them?
Just sport, this is.
Oh, Shaggers Hall of Fame. And how many of them are there?
There is 6.
There's 6. And would I know all of these 6?
I know 5 of them.
Okay, so I'd say one of them, Beckham.
No.
Beckham's not on there. See, everyone thought he was dumb, but he was a shagger, but he cpt it on the down low. Okay, so so who would be a shagger in sport? I'm trying to think now. Come on, give me some clues.
Okay, Australian.
Shane Warne.
Yep, got there quickly.
Yeah, next one.
Okay, there's a few Americans which I'm struggling with. Basketball. Would I know him? Kobe Bryant? No,
he did something unspeakable. Let's not. That's a different thing. It wouldn't be Michael Jordan. I don't know the basketball players. Who is it?
Magic Johnson.
Oh, Magic Johnson. I mean, he ended up getting HIV. God bless him. So yeah, that makes complete sense. Magic Johnson. Yep. Of course, he's a shagger. His name's Magic. Imagine like a girl. You wouldn't turn down Magic. How was he in the sack? Magic.
You forgot about the Magic that you met out in Miami.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Check that video out. Me meeting Magic. What a man.
He was a shagger, 100%.
He was a shagger.
Get the fuck out of my video. Hey, bye. Get out of here, Ratchet. I'm buzzing.
I mean, he was clearly in his 50s as well. There is no way that man was as... He said he was like 38. I'm like, fuck off, mate.
Off his nut as well.
Yeah. I follow him on Instagram. He's insane.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to show me that after.
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a legend of basketball. I don't know a lot about him, but he's a legend of basketball. 70s and 80s, Wilt Chamberlain, I think. Yep.
Another basketball player. Friends with Kim Jong-un.
Oh, Dennis Rodman. Yes. I love Rodman. I'd actually like to get Rodman on Trigonometry. I reckon it'd be an amazing conversation.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Go for it.
Sean Avery. I don't know this one.
Sean Avery, basketball player. Yeah, I think I know Sean Avery.
Ice hockey, I think.
Oh, is he ice hockey? No idea who he is.
No. And that's it.
That's it.
Not sure it's the best list.
It's not the best list. I'm sure there's more top-level shaggers in there. You know, some of the actors were top-level shaggers. Richard Harris, Peter O'Toole, you know, Warren Beatty. That's the problem now. Actors aren't shaggers. They're all boring. It's fucking boring. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to Francis Foster Sort Your Life Out. Remember to follow me on all the socials at Francis J. Foster. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel. Remember to email me in with your problems where we will sort it out. We've had a great time. Well, I will see you next week. Don't be slags.